Now, if, as I was saying just now, they were to laugh at me, as you say they do at you, it would not be at all unpleasant to pass the time at court with jests and laughter. Plato, Euthyphro. Hello and welcome back again. Let's continue analyzing Cervantes' masterpiece. At the beginning of chapter 31, the narrator notes that Sancho is happy to find himself in the favor of the Duchess. He senses a positive experience, like those at the houses of Miranda and Basilio. The narrator also informs us of the first illusion performed for Don Quixote by the Duke and Duchess. It's an improvised reception for the chivalric hero. Note how their abode is referred to as a country estate or castle, echoing but also contrasting with the palace or citadel, alcázar, that Cervantes often uses in reference to Dulcinea. Two servants appear, dressed in crimson robes of satin, and remove Don Quixote from his horse. At the same time, two maidens threw over the shoulders of Don Quixote a great cloak of fine scarlet. Don Quixote then attempts to assist the Duchess, but she insists on dismounting in the arms of the Duke. Perhaps this refers to the supposedly platonic nature of courtly love. The entire staff then sprinkles Don Quixote with perfumed water, praising him as the flower and cream of all knights errant. The scene marks a major shift. That was the first day on which he roundly and thoroughly knew and believed that he was a true knight errant and not a fantastical one. The scene also contains bitter irony in the fact that Don Quixote, who so often insists that valiant knights are superior to courtly knights, now finds validation in this regal reception at the court of the Duke and Duchess. In retrospect, Don Quixote's slapstick fall from Rocinante now makes sense. It's classical tragedy. Don Quixote betrays his own ideals.
Did you know, throughout the medieval and early modern periods, dukes, or grandes, were the principal political power after the king?
Right after the narrator's crucial observation about Don Quixote's new status, Sancho gets into an argument with one of the Duchess's maids regarding his ass. It's one of those detailed divergences from the main story that modern readers might find difficult to understand. Just remember that Sancho's ass marks all sorts of social, ethical, and racial problems. Here, Cervantes alludes to the moral hypocrisy of those who succeed in life, forgetting about the fate of those who share their roots. Like his tragically transformed master, Sancho now feels so empowered that he mistreats other servants. The narrator even underscores that Sancho feels guilty about his attempt to stay close to the Duchess. Abandoning his gray, he fastened himself to the Duchess and went inside the castle, and when his conscience bothered him for having left the gray alone, he approached a respected duenna who had come out with the other ladies to greet the Duchess. Sancho asks this woman, Doña Rodriguez, to make sure that his ass is taken to the stable. She rebukes him, and he claims he deserves more respect from her. Curiously, while noting his master's identification with Lancelot, Sancho calls him a diviner of the histories, meaning that Don Quixote perceives the deeper meaning of chivalric texts. Note how Sancho emphasizes here the art of literary interpretation, or what we might call careful reading. The irony, of course, is that Sancho continues to overvalue his ass. When it comes to my ass, I would not trade it for the nag of Sir Lancelot. Furthermore, he insults Doña Rodriguez, first forgetting her name and then calling her old by way of a sophisticated metaphor based on counting the value of cards. If years are points, your grace would never lose at any hand of cards. Doña Rodriguez understands the mathematical insult. But does the reader understand the text? Doña Rodriguez reports the insult to the Duchess, and Sancho tries to excuse himself. I only said it because I'm so concerned about my ass. Then the Duke calms Sancho in a way that recalls the equivalency between squire and ass. Relax, Sancho, for he will be treated as if he were your very person.
Quixotic mission. What is Sancho's main concern upon arriving at the ducal palace? A. To find out if the Duchess is married. B. To ensure that his ass is treated well. C. To take over the palace's kitchen. Correct answer, B. To ensure that his ass is treated well.
This ethical lesson about social status continues when servants attempt to dress Don Quixote with a new shirt. Note the directional, even sadistic nature of humor and laughter here. The servants and the nobles laugh at Don Quixote's appearance. Dry, tall, and thin, with cheeks that kissed each other in the middle of his mouth. They must work to hide their laughter. Curiously, when they offer Don Quixote the shirt, at first he refuses it, insisting they give it to Sancho, but then he takes Sancho into an adjacent bedroom and puts it on himself. The odd shift occurs in a single sentence. Even so, he told them to give the shirt to Sancho, and then he went off with him into a room where there was a luxurious bed, and he stripped naked and put on the shirt. Don Quixote then lectures Sancho about his behavior, insisting that the squire rise to the occasion of their noble hosts. This speech reveals two things about Don Quixote, and readers who identify with him should feel disillusioned. First, he discloses his extreme anxiety about his own status. He does not want Sancho to inadvertently reveal their low origins. Second, he reveals that he too has delusions of grandeur. If they act well, they'll be rich. We'll come out of this better off by a king's third or fifth in both fame and wealth. Sancho promises to behave himself and guard the secret of their lowliness, that never through him would it be disclosed who they really were. To repeat, all this betrays the meritocratic values that Don Quixote so often defends. Returning to the main room, Don Quixote dresses the part of a noble guest. He girded his belt and sword, threw his scarlet cloak over his shoulders, put on the green riding cap that the maids of honor had given him, and thus adorned, he strode into the main hall. That's all for now. Join me next time as we continue interpreting the most important literary masterpiece in the Spanish language. If you liked this video and want to continue learning more about the knight-errant Don Quixote de la Mancha, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Also, you can enroll in our free online course on Don Quixote by clicking here.